Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
Podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey, happy hempsters. So great to be back with you. We are live from our 812 Hemp store in Clarksville, Indiana, and we actually opened December 14th. So we did kind of a soft opening. You know, you got to make sure all them bugs are worked out, but we are so excited to be helping Indiana customers, and we can't wait to show you our new space. It is beautiful over here, and I have to thank Matt, my business partner. He has worked his tail off in this store, but also I definitely want to thank Hope, who has been here. She's done a lot of things to help us. They have done just a beautiful job, and I could not do this on my own. It truly does take a team, and I feel so blessed and so honored. And I don't want to get emotional, but dang it, I am so happy with everybody that is part of this, and we've made this happen, and even the entire team at 502 Hemp. Y'all, I appreciate you. Hopefully you listen and you hear this, and of course I posted on my Facebook, but man, I am so proud of everything that we've managed to accomplish. So I just had to get that out there, Matt, before we even started.
Well, hey, thank you, Dee. I think that's great, and that's very, very heartfelt and sincere, and right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been an adventure, but it's fun. And
because this is your first time opening a store, right?
A retail store.
A retail store, yeah.
Yeah, not a store. I mean, I've opened a store, but not that where people just walked in and out. More of an office scenario.
Yeah, big difference.
Where people walking in are wearing
big difference
ties or a construction outfit. Those are the two.
You've done a lot of the construction stuff. Yeah. So, but and I'm just going to point this out there, y'all. It is nice to have somebody on your team that can do all the construction. Because when I want, a board put here or something hung there, Matt's like, okay, where do you want it? And I'm like, yes, this is so great. Yeah. I want to make
value revealed.
It is.
It's the screwdriver. I'm a glorified screwdriver.
I'm like, do you want to see my honey-do list at home too? I'm sure Katie keeps you busy with some of that stuff too.
Yeah, I've always got a project.
I know. Figured.
Yeah. So right on.
Heck yeah.
Well, that being said, are you ready to begin?
I am. Okay.
Well, we got an interesting one today. So the title of this podcast is Big Canna Corruption. And that
good deal.
Incorporates a lot of stuff because there's a lot of things going on. So what I thought we'd do today is switch some gears. We're going to kind of get out of the hemp and get a little more into the cannabis and what's going on with cannabis legalization, what's going on with licensing of cannabis, what's going on with taxation of cannabis, what's going on with medical versus recreational, what's going on with corruption within that and the individual state governments, what's going on in Kentucky and the smoke and mirrors that's, in my opinion, Beshear has flopped out. That's now turning into get a medical card that is absolutely worthless. And starting next year.
There's no medical program, so there's no cards that actually exist.
Yeah.
Most people don't understand that.
So there's a lot, and we're going to touch on a little. In this particular show notes, there's going to be a ton of attachments because it's a very diverse topic. There's a lot of different subjects that I want to touch on. And I wanted to make sure that if you listeners are interested, you could get a little more in depth. So there's some really good articles in this show notes. If you're interested in hearing a little bit more, I'd encourage you, because this is just going to be like a top level 5,000 foot view type thing. I'm going to throw out a few statistics here and there, but that's it. So, kind of starting off, why don't we go ahead and work inside out?
Okay.
We started with the Beshear thing. And if you all don't know, Dee Dee played an integral role on that, on Beshear's team.
Right.
On the medical marijuana.
I did.
What was it called? The medical
It was the Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee.
Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee.
Because marijuana and hemp, all of that, it's cannabis.
Yeah.
And
And
we just got to get used to calling it that. Marijuana is such a racist term.
Racist?
It is.
Oh, yeah, I guess because
It
it's
is.
Mexican.
Yes, and
It's Mexican
back
slang.
in the 30s, I think, 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that being said, if you don't know, and those of you who are listening who are Kentucky residents, there's this bill that will be in effect the first of 2023. Legalize. You're allowed to legally possess marijuana in Kentucky if you have a medical card stating as such. Let's be clear.
Up to 8 ounces.
Up to 8 ounces. So let's just be clear on that. You cannot buy cannabis in Kentucky under this bill. Period.
There's no dispensaries. There's no medical marijuana dispensaries. There's no recreational dispensaries. That does not exist.
There is no.
Not allowed.
The closest medical state is Ohio. Does not reciprocate.
Because we do
So
not
you
have
cannot
a
go
medical
to
marijuana
Ohio.
program.
Because of their stipulations. So you're looking at going to Virginia, which is, by the way, one of the most expensive states to buy marijuana in currently, and cannabis. And I'll get into that. And then you're going to drive through states where it's not legal, and your card doesn't mean anything, and at best it will be taken and confiscated when you get pulled over. At worst, you'll be charged.
Right.
With a crime.
And Governor Beshear's order can't help you in another state.
No.
He can't pardon you from another state.
So in my opinion, what this was a little clever political way for Beshear to cover his ass, make it look like he's doing something to move forward, and then create a new niche for people to rip other people off with this new medical card that's being sold in Kentucky. Because there's already people advertising, get your medical card in Kentucky. These people are ripping you off. They're taking your money for nothing.
Right. But I'm going to disagree with you on Beshear.
Go ahead.
And
I want you to.
Right. And I'm going to, because he is the first governor that has done anything to move the needle on marijuana. The first governor in this entire state. You've got 4 senators that are passing medical marijuana. This was his little, and you know what really gets me? He waited until after the elections to make this announcement. So I do not truly believe it was a political move or pull or what have you. And honestly, I don't give a shit if it was, because he is the only governor that has done anything to move medical along. Now, do I agree with it? No. Is it the best he could do? Yeah, pretty much. Could it be?
Why would you say it's the best he could do?
Because he only has executive orders. I mean, that's all of the power he has that he can use.
But he could use his executive order to go ahead and approve rec.
He couldn't.
Why not?
Not rec. Are you kidding me? Can't be medical. You think rec's going to happen in this state? Are you serious? Dude. He's, again, no. I mean, I commend him. At least he did something. Better than nothing.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's going to force the legislation to freaking bring it for a vote.
Will it though? Or was it just like hey, I'm going to piss people off if I don't do something, but I can't do if I do something big, it'll piss these people off. So how can I straddle the fence here and make sure I don't piss this group off or this group? And then kind of just move things forward just a little bit, a little itty bitty baby step.
Only he can answer that question. Right?
I know. And Beshear, if you're listening,
you can come on.
Let me know.
You can come
let
on our
me know
on our podcast.
Because
be awesome.
I'm not. I mean, I just, to me, it's like saying, hey, we're changing 12 to a dozen. 12 is a dozen now.
Well, but
you're welcome.
But you know what he did do? What that executive order did do? It made that up to that 8 ounces is a misdemeanor. So that's helpful for people that do have marijuana,
for people
that are buying it from another state that do bring it in, and at least they can have up to 8 ounces and not be a felon.
With a medical card.
Not a card, a recommendation,
With
a medical recommendation. That's what gets me about it. And that's why those other companies that are, we'll get you a medical card. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Well, and here's what gets me about medical altogether is why.
All of it's medical.
But
recreation's medical, all of it.
But what this medical thing is first of all, it creates a layer for people to collect money on these quote unquote prescriptions. Right. Which is just another way to take people's money.
Well, and doctors truly, legally, federally cannot write a prescription for marijuana on a notepad that is because it's not FDA approved and it's still Schedule 1.
Right.
So even the doctors that are doing it, what kind of risk are they running federally?
So it's not
Could
even
they lose their license.
Right. So it's not even quote unquote medical.
Right.
It's just a oh, hey, we're going to apply another asshole tax to this system to take another piece of it.
And we can get into the tax parts. I'm still bent that they lowered the income tax 0.5% only to raise all the sales tax on everything else.
So I think, if the FDA can't classify it as a medical drug, if they can't classify it as a supplement, then you can't make it medical. It's either recreational or it's not.
I agree with you.
And, this whole medical bullshit, come on, give me a break.
What it really should be, and there's a couple coalitions out there that I am all for, it's responsible cannabis use. Hello, 21 and up. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have all these rules and regulations to try and keep us safe. If that's the case, then get rid of alcohol. Quit promoting that. Quit promoting cigarettes.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
They
100% agree.
They've damn near destroyed the vaping industry, right? You and I agree it's not the best, safest, healthiest, blah, blah, blah. But they've damn near destroyed that industry, and they still allow alcohol. That's killed people. They still allow cigarettes. That has killed people. You can find that in freaking drugstores, for crying out loud. But cannabis, and no one's died from it.
Right.
So, and that's still a federal Schedule 1 narcotic. I mean, it's insane.
Right.
And even with Biden and his whole big pardon thing, in 94, he wrote the bill that put a hell of a lot of people in prison.
Right. Well, but all you can do is correct your mistakes.
That's true.
To play the devil's advocate.
That's true.
So to pull that back, one, I agree with you. And I think that I didn't
even know we were talking about all this stuff today, people. So this is great.
So I think where we get lost is that, we're given the illusion that this medical thing creates a layer of protection or a layer of make sure that it's done right. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
All it does is create another layer of you have to pay this before you can get that.
Yep.
What really needs to happen is rec needs to be regulated so that it is, one, safe, clean, tested, and affordable and available to the right people who qualify for it, meaning you're of the right age. And whatever. I mean, there can be some loose criteria there, age restrictions or intoxication restrictions,
and limit it
things
to
like that.
amount if you need to. But you also need to limit alcohol. Maybe you only get 1 6-pack.
They do that in some states, actually.
I know,
by the
and
way,
they
which
have
is terrible.
Sunday sales. Some of them, yeah, I know. But I'm just saying,
See, I grew up. Where I grew up, it wasn't even called. You weren't even allowed to call it a package or a liquor store.
Oh.
Liquor store was illegal. It was called a package store.
A package store.
And you went there to buy.
Dude, you're old.
Packages.
What state you grew up in?
Massachusetts.
Okay.
What was in these packages was booze, but that is, and now, Massachusetts is a marijuana legal state, and they actually in Mass now, marijuana tourism is a thing.
Oh yeah, well of course it is. Of course,
it's funny how in one generation
Cannabis.
it's gone from I don't know the liquor store what. What's a liquor store? Where's that? The packy.
I remember in Ohio, you had to have it in a brown paper bag. Like 12-pack had to be in a big paper bag.
Yeah.
It always had to be covered. Like now, you just walk out with your 12-pack, 6-pack, whatever. You don't have to have it in a bag.
Yeah.
But in Ohio, I remember that when I was working at the convenience store a long time ago. I wouldn't even know enough to sell it, but yeah.
Anyway, so moving off the booze. So the next issue we're having in this state of marijuana legalization, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to just this to be like a bitch session podcast where we're complaining about.
Are you sure?
Yes, because it's great that marijuana is being legalized, but it is really important now that we're seeing this shift that we get in front of this, so we don't see it go the way of so many other things that fall to excessive taxation, excessive regulation, excessive licensing restrictions, and things where it's only available for the top 1% that can afford it, which happens to be Big Pharma, who, I've got there are some interesting things about Big Pharma I want to read, but they're sure as shit not looking out for your best interest. They're looking out for the bottom line of their company, because that's what they do. That is I do not interpret Big Pharma as evil or not evil. They are simply a machine created to collect as much revenue as humanly possible by any means necessary.
They are the epitome of capitalism.
I do, and I don't interpret that as evil or not evil. You have to decide whether that's the company that you want to invest your money in, and you want to trust your health with.
I think they're evil.
And sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to interpret that as evil, that's fine. High vibration, low vibration, whatever.
Don't get me wrong. There's some good medications out there that have truly helped people. Then there's some that are not so good. And by all means, read the side effects of the medications you're taking.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I wanted real quick, Matt, before you move on, I was just interviewed a few minutes ago, literally before you got here. And one of the questions they asked me is if I wanted to get into the medical marijuana and open a dispensary. And I said, honestly, there's a lot of things that need to change before I even want to get into that. Banking is one of them. Banking has been nothing but a pain in the ass, even for the hemp industry. And I was promised back in 2019 that all of this was going to get taken care of when Senator McConnell came out to my husband's shop, and he looked right at me and he's like, "We are working hard on that." Well, last week, I don't remember, it got shot down again when they tried to put the Safe Banking Act in on, I think it's an ominous, whatever that is, the spending bill. And McConnell and others bragged that they shut it down. Like, what the hell, man? I mean, we've got to get safe banking for the cannabis industry in general.
Right. And these are the topics that I want to bring up today, because now is the time.
It is.
Before it's too late.
It is.
Because what will happen if we don't do something is it will just fall into the hands of the same people that are controlling the sheeple narrative that is, our country's economic system.
Right.
And it'll just be another thing that's regulated that you have to buy from a company who only cares about their bottom line.
Exactly.
And not your health and not your well-being, and certainly not your wellness.
Exactly. And not being able to write off business expenses, these cannabis companies, the marijuana side, not being able to write off their business expenses, that stuff would be a nightmare to deal with. And only deal in cash, that is scary. I mean, you're running a lot of risky stuff there, and that getting robbed, only paying your employees in cash. I mean, how do they make that deposit into their bank account without triggering that whole $600 thing and not being audited for putting cash in their accounts? So there's a lot of things that have to get changed before I'm really, truly want to get involved. I'll always be an advocate, but opening a dispensary at this moment right now, I would say probably no.
Yeah. Well, so, and then the next stage of that, licensing, which is state regulated, and every state has, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, starting with, the big, what was it, Calexico, California debacle, where it was revealed that city officials in LA were taking bribes in exchange for licenses. But they don't even need to do that anymore, because now what a lot of these states are doing is they're making the licensing so high that you have to just have an excessive amount of capital. You need to be a big, nasty business,
Yep.
which we all know. You know, when businesses when businesses reach a certain size, they become their own entity.
They do.
And that entity is typically predicated upon its survival of, economic Darwinism, which is who's making the most profit and who's bringing that profit to the bottom line for the shareholders.
Right.
So those are the people that when this licensing gets out of hand are the only ones who can get the licenses. And then they get in and then they do all kind of corrupt shit. So that's a real problem. Oh yeah, because there's no corruption in Kentucky.
Lord heavens, no, not even in the hemp industry, not here. Yeah,
So,
don't even get me started.
Sorry, that was very sarcastic.
Yes,
that
it was
terrible. My apologies, but it's something that absolutely needs to be addressed, because instead of it becoming a factor of is this the right person to have a license? Is this the right company to have a license? Is this company going to look out for the best interest of its consumers? Is this company going to look and make sure that it's maintaining quality product? Is this going to look out for the benefit of the community? No. It's just about how much money you have.
Right.
And it's hard for me not to get pissed off about that, because that is exactly the situation that has gotten us where we are with things like Big Pharma.
Right.
You know?
And even in the hemp industry, there are many people that only give a shit about their bottom line and the money.
Yeah.
They don't care that they're selling products that could be contaminated. They don't care about all that shit.
Yeah.
So, it's like that in a lot of industries. It's not just, but what else you got?
Well, so next, if you just happen to be able to scrape enough money together for your license, guess what comes next? The taxation.
Oh, God, yeah.
Also state regulated. And so these taxes run anywhere from 20 to 80%.
80%?
Hang on, I'll find the statute.
Are you crapping
but
me?
IRS, I think it's 280E.
Goodness.
Has companies, cannabis companies, reporting up to 80% taxation. You cannot survive on that.
Well, no.
You cannot survive on that. So,
no.
It's IRS 280E tax code. Taxes ranging between 40 and 80%. And that's reported from the IRS. Oh. So that's not businesses. That's the IRS
That just
report.
made my stomach curl, because I'm like, we pay enough in taxes. I could not imagine. Yeah.
So now, do I think cannabis should not be taxed? No, I definitely think it should be taxed, because I think people will pay that tax. And I think that
it should be a reasonable tax.
Exactly.
Though. Come on.
It has to be something.
Reasonable.
It has to be something to where the right people are in place, not the most economically advantageous or corrupt people are in place, and excuse me. They're selling a product that is correct and at a price point that's affordable for customers. Because the bottom line is the black market industry is still there. Sales of marijuana in California are 3-to-1 black market to dispensary.
Oh, that does not surprise me.
And that's because it is so fucking expensive to buy cannabis in California.
John
Yeah.
and I have said that forever. Because of that taxation, there will always be a black market. And until you get rid of that, you're still going to have cartels. You're still going to have people coming in from outside this country to sell marijuana because it's cheaper.
Right. Yeah. And you're going to have people that are going to take that risk.
Yep.
And when something's illegal, it turns into crime.
Yep.
When crime turns into violence.
Yep.
And then the snowball continues.
And not even to mention the whole war on drugs and how you could literally lose your house if you had marijuana, and they take that from you, and then their home, your money, your cars, all that shit over whatever amount it was back in the day.
Right.
I mean, things have changed now, but do we really want to talk about the whole prisoner exchange with Russia and how one person is now free that violated their cannabis laws? And now we have all of these people sitting in jail here in the United States. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad she got out of there. I'm glad she came home. But pardon the rest of the people that are sitting in the United States that are in fucking jail over a dime bag.
Yeah.
Seriously. That pisses me off.
I agree.
That is a double standard, and it needs to be corrected.
Right. Well,
sorry.
Yes.
There's mine.
Well, thank you for the rant.
You're welcome.
But again, and I believe I said this statistic in an earlier podcast, but I'll say it again. 40% of the cannabis industries nationwide are in the red, which means they are losing money. In California, that's 60%. And these are people that can afford the licensing and afford all the expenses. Right. And they're still, I mean, and that's not people breaking even. I don't know all the statistics, but I'm willing to bet that it's in the single digits as to companies that are actually turning a reasonable profit in most states where cannabis is legal. And just to give you some ideas of the taxation, I had some really interesting numbers here. Okay, so here's a little trivia for you. This will be fun. What's the lowest legal cost of cannabis per gram right now? Just guess.
$10.
$9.75.
How do I know
pretty
that?
damn good.
We're not talking about how I know
Ooh.
that. Is it Michigan?
Well done. That is in a few different states, but that was reported from...
Michigan's pretty cheap.
It didn't say. Darn it. But anyway.
But see, that also... Not only the black market, but then you have the retailers that are, in competition with each other. So they're lowering their prices.
Well, and a lot of this pricing has to do with taxation.
Yeah.
They have to charge it for the tax because they charge so much for tax.
Right.
What's the most expensive state?
It's a medical state or a rec state?
It doesn't matter. Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
$18.60 a gram.
You mentioned Virginia. No.
I mentioned Virginia earlier. Yeah, as them being exorbitantly expensive. $18.60 because their tax rates are so high. Pennsylvania's second, $15.62. New Jersey's third, $14.95.
New Jersey.
Maryland's fourth, $13.89, and Ohio is fifth at $13.83.
I know I got a really good friend. He has his medical card in Ohio, but he drives up to Michigan to get his stuff because it's so much cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They were charging.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. They were charging $60 for a vape cart in Michigan. They got it for $10.
Right.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the last thing that I wanted to bring up in this. So whether you want to call what we've discussed today corruption or not, it's completely up to you. I don't know if we've discussed this or not, but Pfizer has entered the cannabis industry, and I forget the name of the company that they purchased, but they will be the next big Canna. Shoot,
oh yeah, you got to find that. We got to know what name it is. So. Why is that? That doesn't surprise me, though. I mean, you've got companies that are trying to get patents for CBD oil and CBD products, and in order to get a patent for that, you have to have other synthetic stuff put into it.
Yes.
And do your, trials and all that stuff, but you can't patent a plant. So.
Okay.
Find it.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm just going to read this. This actually came from a site that very obscure, but anyway. It's in the notes. The title is Big Weed Coming with Pfizer's Recent Purchase. Oh, the French Toast. It's from the French Toast. Have you ever read that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of like that.
Our great overlords and global saviors, Pfizer, announced their intentions to get into the medical industry with a $6.7 billion acquisition of Arena Pharmaceuticals. Okay? So they spent $6.7 billion. on this. So, mom and pa going to compete with Pfizer on that? You think they're going to push their weight around, make sure that they're the only competition in town?
Hey, Pfizer, I know. I can help you find a space.
Okay. So, again, and here's the thing. What's going to happen if we allow it to is Big Pharma will just consume the marijuana industry.
They will.
Because, and frankly, I understand the motivation, because if you're a company that economic Darwinism, you're losing massive amounts of revenue as marijuana continues to be legalized. You're going to have to jump on that bus. You're going to have no choice, because otherwise you're not going to survive.
Right.
So they're doing what they feel they need to do to survive. That you can understand that. But I want to read some interesting fraud cases with Big Pharma, just so that the listeners can know these are the quote unquote overlords. And who, if we let them, we will have to buy our cannabis from.
Oh my gosh!
Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson pled guilty to misbranding and with the intent to defraud and mislead, and paying kickbacks to healthcare providers to induce them to prescribe their drugs, resulting in fines of $2.3 billion in 2009. Pfizer settled a lawsuit for manipulating studies and suppressing negative findings I believe later that year. Moderna has never developed an approved drug. Yet one of their board members was placed in charge of the operational warp speed. This certainly is unrelated to the fact that they received the most federal vaccine research and development funding and have received over $6 billion from our government since the start of the pandemic.
What?
Yeah.
And I'm sure all this is posted.
And that's,
you didn't just pull this shit out of your ass.
No. This is from
this
is actually from the Freedom First Network.
Wow.
Yeah. So. So, and not only that, but Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson have a windfall of money now, thanks to COVID, from those vaccines that were paid for by our government. So, which gives them more control.
Duh.
So where do you think they're going to spend that money now?
Well, yeah, Big Canna.
Why wouldn't you pour that into Big Canna? It's the next thing.
People don't get it, Matt. They don't get it.
Gilead Sciences paid 97.
Gilead. Really? Gilead? Okay. See, I knew it was happening.
Paid $97 million in fines because
don't know that reference.
Because it illegally used a nonprofit foundation as a conduit to pay Medicare copays for its own drug. In 2005, AstraZeneca's drug Crestor was shown to be linked to a life-threatening muscle disease, while the company withheld evidence from this and 24 other effects from the public.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. In 2012, GlaxoSmithKline paid $3 billion in fines as it failed to include certain safety data relating to their drug, since it was labeled as corrected to heart failure and attacks. Since labeled as connected to heart failure and attacks.
I'm telling you, you got to read the freaking side effects for those medications, people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and these are also the people that are paying the FDA behind the scenes.
We can't get into that.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with what we know for sure and what we don't know, Matt.
Well, here's one right here.
This is all opinion, people.
No. What I'm reading is referenced. So if please check the references if you don't want to take it for face value. Food and Drug Administration worked behind the scenes with the company Biogen to alter previously conducted trials of their $56,000 per year Alzheimer's treatment by removing the subset of people for whom the drug didn't work. they found a slight statistical effect in favor of the drug. So basically, they manipulated the statistics for people who have to pay $56,000 a year for this drug to make it look more effective than it actually was. Yep. Even after doing this, an administrative community, even after doing this, an advisory committee voted 10-0 against approving the drug. The FDA approved the drug anyway, causing 3 committee members to resign.
Wow.
Yep. So anyway, and it goes on and on. I could literally spend an hour reading these. The bottom line is, with that great money and that great power comes corruption.
That's so sad.
And we really, 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 as a society, as local communities, and as individuals, have to take it upon ourselves to not allow corruption to enter this industry any more than it already has, and reverse what has been done, because we're all responsible. If you sit idly by and say, what can I do? You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you can stick your head in the sand all you want, but that just makes you a sheep. And I don't want to live that way. And I hope if you're listening to this podcast, it means you're a free thinker. And I hope that you don't want to live that way either.
Right.
So I would be very careful in the future to read any laws where marijuana legalization in any fashion comes up if it come to a vote before you vote on it.
But we don't get to vote on it here.
Well, not yet, but that may happen.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you are in a state where it's legal,
I'm kind of depressed now.
I would be. No, there's a silver lining here because it's not too late. It is far from too late. And the big thing here is that, there's not been federal movement yet.
True.
And I am not a big person on saying, Big Brother Federal needs to get in here. But if the right people are smart enough in the government to look out for the best interest of the people, don't
funny.
be sarcastic.
No, that's funny. Come on. Have they ever done that?
Yes.
There's only a few.
Yes, they have.
A few.
This country was founded on people with those interests in mind.
Unfortunately.
And you can sit there, and that's another thing, though. You can't sit there and say, nobody cares. Everybody's corrupt.
I'm not saying that, but there's only so many that care, and the rest of them are bought and paid for by Big Pharma.
Right, but we have to change that.
We have to.
And
it follow the money source. When you're out there trying to vote for someone, follow their money source.
This information is coming out.
Yeah.
People are realizing.
Yes.
I mean, it's making it's breaking through to the mainstream because it's so bad.
And it can't
the levee has no longer held. So the information is out. This information is public. What I've read to you, I did it with not much research on the internet. To find this information, and that was, I could spend a career on this stuff. But the bottom line is, it's not too late. There's absolutely ability to affect change.
Right.
We have to take it upon ourselves and not just throw our hands up in the air and not just say, the corrupt politician. Don't buy the product. I would say break the law, buy illegal shit. I mean, seriously, that's look at the Boston Tea Party.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Dump that bullshit Pfizer marijuana in the ocean.
Until we get past the political parties and the two sides, and we all realize that we need to look at our best interest and not necessarily those two political parties' best interest.
Yeah.
That's when things will really start to change.
Yeah.
When we, the people, stand up against the corruption and for all of it, and we start voting for people that actually have our best interests in heart, that's when the true changes are going to start happening.
Yeah.
And if we can keep politics out of and get it out of the FDA and get it out of the big pharmas and the big companies and break up the monopoly. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to to change all of this
Yeah.
and actually become that one great nation again.
Yeah.
But when you've got all these companies running things and footing the bill and paying people off and buying things, that is what is destroying us as a nation. And you've got those both sides fighting and arguing over stupid shit.
Well, but that's an old play.
I know.
That's an old play.
I know.
Is
It aggravates the piss out of
yeah,
me.
and I obviously I don't want to get into too deep into politics, but it's super easy, and that's how you control the populace.
It is.
It's just like a team. You pick a team, and
That's your team, and no matter what,
and
that's your
everything
team.
that team does is right. Everything the other team does is wrong, and that way you can at least divide the populace in half. Then you go in there, and then you create other rifts to continue to divide.
Parties, I know.
And then the next thing you know, you're part of some small
But
group.
I think, Matt, we can all agree cannabis is the answer.
I'm glad you said that, because I think cannabis is the start. Because
It is.
here is something
We can all agree on cannabis.
but here is something that is proved to. Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm going to say it was proved to have potential cortical stimulation benefits to get you thinking, to get your brain thinking in a different way than it does every day. So my hope is enough people will use this product
Is
that
why
maybe
they've
it will
tried
wake
to
them
make
up.
it illegal forever?
Because maybe
it helps you think.
Come on,
oh
I don't
my
want to. I don't.
gosh.
This is just a sarcastic
Eureka.
maelstrom, and I don't want to do that.
Eureka.
Yeah, free thinking. And
yeah.
support the individuals that support your interest. Don't support the individual that's on your team.
Right.
The person on your team is the person that's looking out for your health and wellness. And if you think that that's a money oriented individual, you're wrong. And I don't come out and ever tell anyone they're wrong, but you're wrong, because that's not it. That's not where it's
What
at.
an interesting podcast, y'all. I didn't know this is where we're going today. So it's definitely, I like what you found as far as the research goes, because, it's hard. They want to just keep people like us shut up about it. They don't want this information getting out there. And not enough people do their own free thinking to even look or even do the research. But it's there. It's there. If you take the time, you can do, let's stop the madness.
Yeah.
Well, and keep the corruption out of cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got an opportunity for change.
Stop the good old boys network.
We have an opportunity for change.
We do.
And I think that this is a great example of where we, as a people, can start making changes and start deciding what we want.
Exactly.
I mean, Johnny Appleseed.
I agree.
You throw a seed in the ground, it's gonna grow.
I agree.
You throw 5 pounds of seeds in ditches all along the freeways of America, they're gonna grow. Don't really do that, but
right.
I'm just saying.
But so yes, thank you for all that information. I think that people need to hear this, and thank you, listeners. We really appreciate you. Please like, follow, share, and tell your friends about Hemp and Happiness and all the fun that we have. So maybe they'll learn something too, and then they can give you credit. But peace out. And hey, if you don't hear us, have a wonderful holiday season. Stay safe, try and stay healthy, get your vitamins in, and don't forget to stock up so you can deal with all of your favorite relatives. So we're open. 812 Hemp's open, 502 Hemp's open. So come see us. And of course we have websites as well.
All right. Bye.
Thanks all. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
Keep it hempy out there.